I've heard talk of FARTCOIN.
Yeah, FARTCOIN I'm really excited about.
All right, tell us about it.
So here's my understanding, my brief understanding of Memecoin. So there's derivatives, right? In the same way that you've got
to
these
FARTCOin.
It's a natural progression.
It makes sense. As soon as you hear it, you're like, I get it, man. I get it. I want in. I'm going to hold the farts.
Welcome back to Token Narratives with Bitcoin.com, where we discuss the biggest stories shaping the Bitcoin and cryptoverse. My name is Graham. I'm repping the marketing function at Bitcoin.com. We also have Bitcoin.com CEO Corbin Fraser and media product manager David Sensel. Hello, gentlemen. Today we have got a ton of great topics on the docket. As Memecoin season is heating up, we'll be descending further into the swamp of degeneracy. We'll also be deciding once and for all whether Michael Saylor is in fact a Fed. And we'll be looking at central bankers' latest takes on Bitcoin. Spoiler alert, they don't like it. But first, gut check. What is your feeling on the markets? Bullish as always?
David, you want me to go first?
Please.
All right. Well, I guess for me, I'm more bullish on memes this week. And that's even though I've made some losses as of 24 hours ago. I think I'm starting to understand the addiction level that people can get in trading some of the dumbest stuff in the world and being like, this is fun. It's entertainment. And I think it's sort of, it's Bitcoin, but at a much faster rate, with much more risk, with much more stupidity, with zero utility, like functional utility, unless you count like community and entertainment and stuff like that, and laughter or something like that. But yeah, so I think as that, I do understand now why that path could be a entry point for people to get into other assets, including Bitcoin and including, say, the harder assets of decent crypto or something like the non-meme crypto. I suspect that there will be degenerates and gamblers that are just coming in for the memes, and then they're like, where am I going to put it? All right, I guess this Bitcoin thing seems like a fine play. So in that sense, I feel more bullish knowing that there is a path there for people. I think I had prejudged memes very hardly. And now I made a little bit of money, lost a little bit of money, had a little bit of fun, saw some communities, and I got goatsy pilled, and now I'm like, okay, memes are cool. Yeah. So I'm bullish on pretty much everything, but I feel like I have a new path to seeing more bullish opportunity for Bitcoin that I think I just wasn't really looking at. I thought memes were just like make money, lose money, and probably pull it back into like, I don't know, maybe you'd go into stable coins, but I see why people might be moving and cycling into some like harder assets in a bull market. So it starts making sense in my head.
Welcome to the fold, Corbin.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm bullish. Bitcoin and Sol especially look really good, right? But
Sol's been outperforming this week.
Yeah, if you look at ETH though, especially the ETH BTC pair, holy good lord, that is ugly. Did you guys see that?
I am trying not to look. It hurts. Yes, I did see it.
The ETH BTC pair kind of shit the bed yesterday. So I think there probably is going to be a little more downside to that. My guess is, I mean, Ethereum not performing as well as BTC and Sol. So that I think is going to continue for a little bit. But I still think ETH will have its day. I still do. But man, it looks grimmer and grimmer every time. Where's the bottom?
At what point would you say I've made a huge mistake?
At what point? That's a good question. I've already started to rotate some of my dry powder that I had on EVM. I've moved half of it already over to Solana. I did that about a month ago.
Trying to catch those green candles, huh?
Yeah, and just
is it working?
Yes, it has. It has been working.
Nice.
But I still haven't. I haven't gotten out of any of my ETH positions yet. So that's a good question. I haven't really wrestled with.
Do you find that there's like a psychological barrier for giving up on this asset that you still kind of believe in, even if the market is maybe not agreeing with your fundamental beliefs?
Well, I would say probably yes. That's definitely true. Although once you've been in a cycle or two, that gets a lot easier, right? To like get the hell out of a bag. I think for me, more than anything, is I still think it's going to have its day in the sun.
It'll just happen after you give up on it, like the day after.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my case, I'm definitely not selling, even if it goes like a lot lower. But here's what probably is going to happen to me, right? Let's say ETH pumps a little bit, right? Like $3,000, $4,000 per ETH. I'll be tempted to then like dust my hands, get rid of it all. But then it's probably going to go to 10,000.
Well,
that's what's going to happen.
Still, that's not a big multiple though, Graham. What's the multiple you're looking at on Sol? I think the upper bound of realistic is like a 5x, right? To 1,000, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
What is the ETH upper? 10,000? 12?
Yeah, so that's
the last
3x,
cycle they were very much saying 10,000 per ETH, and then it never hit. We got what? How high did we get in last cycle? Was it like 4,005? Was that Pico top for ETH?
Yeah, something like that.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So even if they were one cycle off and now it's 10, you're maybe like a 2 and a bit multiple. Maybe 3 if you want to go aggro. Yeah, I guess it depends on how I would say how like the TradFi starts playing into ETH. Like, does the ETH ETFs start ripping? Does the BlackRock saying, "Hey, we're putting more assets on Ethereum"? You hear this a lot within the space that post Trump winning, which clearly he's going to win, and if he doesn't, it's all a scam, and it'll be terrible. But assuming he gets in, then I suspect a lot of the TradFi banks and institutions are just kind of holding back on any announcements on things that they've already built or are waiting to launch, and they're just waiting for some of that regulatory clarity that I think will come post-election. And then it's like, is that priced in? And I would suspect it's not yet, because nobody knows what the heck it could be, or what the play is there. So.
I expect. So again, talking to people who work in listening to people who are working in TradFi and specialize in ETFs, pretty much everybody was caught off guard by how well Bitcoin has done, and then surprised by how poorly Ethereum has done, right? But the theory that I think explains it the best is the people who are allocating in TradFi to crypto via an ETF, they're going to do that through Bitcoin this year, and they're not going to really diversify into Ethereum because it's kind of a similar thing from their perspective. So maybe from next year, they might start to allocate something new into Ethereum, but they're not going to take their allocation that they've already devoted to Bitcoin and put that into Ethereum. So it'd have to be new funds. So I could see it happening maybe Q1, Q2. I don't know, something like that.
Have you guys? And maybe I'm going to speak to some of the circles that I've been hanging in, but it does feel like some friends and colleagues have become more Bitcoin pilled. Like there was a period where it was like everyone was in Bitcoin and then everything spread out into alts. And now it's slowly kind of reconverging back where there's sort of like people want the boring trade. You know, they still want the degenerate trade, but like for a small bag. But it feels like there's sort of a mind share being sucked back into just nothing wrong with boring Bitcoin. You know, it's safe, it's fun, it's fine, it's good enough. You know, you don't need the thrill for your entire portfolio. Just having some exposure to, say, some of the meme silliness is fun, but maybe for your core portfolio, you want to take that safer position of, you know, a 2x bagger is maybe a good safe bet for a majority. And why snub your nose at it? You know, it's reliable.
Yeah, and this is a further bear case for Ethereum, because on the one side of you've got Bitcoin, which is what you've just described, and then on the other side you've got like your Sol and your meme coins, right? And Ethereum's in the middle, so it's not getting any love on either side, right? It's not safe, and it's not
the middle kid,
like
man.
a 10x.
Yeah, it doesn't have that like new, you know, it's like the pimply teenager, you know, it's not the new baby that everyone wants to hold. And it's not like the wise sage old man with like, you know, lots of wealth that you want to hang around with and maybe like get some of that trickle down economics. It's just this pimply, nerdy, booger nosed teenager. It's not really quite sure what it is yet. You know, it's still figuring itself out. But it's hard to price this thing.
Shout out to all the middle children out there.
You middle child too, man?
No, not me. No, I'm just saying shout out to them. I know a couple.
Yeah, I'm one of them. That might explain a few things, right?
I have noticed that, Corbin, about people kind of becoming passionate again about Bitcoin. I ascribe that mostly to this kind of malaise we've had for 6 or 7 months, and I think the second majors start pumping, so meme coins are kind of their own thing, and it's a very risky thing. People go out on the risk curve. It doesn't attract a lot of people, but the second you get like majors ripping 50%, 100% or something like that, like an Aptos, or you've even saw this with like Sui, I think you'll start to get people who are they're gonna be like, who were saying, oh, 2x on Bitcoin, that's not bad. They're gonna start FOMOing, right? They're gonna look at like a, you know, whatever, some L2 3xing in a month. They're like, oh God, I gotta get out there. But I just wanted to say I really liked the Bankless podcast with Omid Malikan, who was kind of making the case for Ethereum, especially versus Sol. And I really agreed with pretty much everything he said. And the way he articulated it, I swear, it was amazing. And I absolutely think the future that he is predicting is one that I pretty much agree with.
I didn't listen to this. Could you summarize it? Is it can I just take a guess? Is it basically that like you can't scale on a monolithic chain, and so Ethereum is right to be doing this layer 2 scaling? Is that the thesis?
That's part of it, but it also is kind of, as you guys know me, as a wet blanket thing. Like it's very pragmatic, right? Like it's like it's gonna very much end up looking, the crypto ecosystem is gonna very much end up looking like TradFi, right? You'll have different layers of settlements, right, and different amounts of security are going to be required for different kinds of transactions, right? Like if you're going to Starbucks, you don't need to have that settled on the L1, right? Mainnet, because it's like $5. Right? That's just ridiculous. Well, you don't need that level of security, and that's how TradFi works already. That Visa charge through your credit card isn't settled immediately. It's settled a day or two or a week or a couple of weeks later. So it'll be like TradFi, but it'll be much more efficient, much faster. Self custody will be a part of it for everyone involved. It won't be necessary, but any party along the chain will be able to self custody, which again has all these benefits. And so, but basically, the Solana part about this is yes, you can't have. It's just infeasible to have everything on one layer, and it doesn't make sense from a practical standpoint, right? Because the level of assurance you need for different kinds of transactions is just fundamentally different.
Do you see that as like more of a sign of maturity in the chain by accepting that? Because it does seem like a lot of these chains start off with the intention of we're going to be a super L1, we're going to be the best L1 you've ever seen, way better than all the other L1s, and we're going to do it better. And then eventually it does seem like they kind of gravitate towards, all right, I guess we need a subnet or a supernet, or we need the ability to let people just use this in a different way than just L1. Like Polygon did this, Avalanche C Chain did this. I think we're already seeing this. I mean, Cosmos and all that quite early in some of those things as well. But I guess, do you see that as like a maturity thing, or is that just people just kind of talking tech to find new buyers?
I think you could frame it as maturity. Another way to frame it is they have these lofty ideas and then they encounter reality, right? All these chains, including Solana, they're like, oh, we're high performance and da 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 da. It becomes popular. The block space gets filled up. The transaction costs go up, and the chain buckles under the attention, right? And I still, to this day, I haven't had an experience where any chain, whether it's an L1 or L2, that has caught fire and started to handle a lot of transactions, has performed well under that stress. So I think it's probably just like they realize, like, oh, we can't have this. We can't have all of these on one chain.
But Fire Dancer, bro.
Exactly. But so Omid has had so many great quotes, but one of them, which I'm going to butcher now, was Solana, by saying that they want all of the transactions to be settled on one chain, is very. He said it as disrespectful to the popularity of crypto, because the fundamental idea is no matter how quickly you scale the hardware or the infrastructure, if the thing is popular, then the demand for the block space is always going to outpace any kind of physical scaling that you do, right? I mean, that makes sense.
I mean, I guess that just depends on, how far Moore's law can take you, right? I mean, I feel like in some ways there's a lot of people that just default to it's got to be L2s, or it's got, you got to have high fees because you need a queue, otherwise you're all going to be screwed. And like, I think there is clearly tech innovation still happening. Chips, it seems like we're getting nicer, smaller phones still. There may be a ceiling for sure to that, but has it been hit today in 2024? But yeah, you might be right. Maybe it is being disrespectful to new people. I can't help but feel like I'm excited that there are chains still fighting for a layer 1 dominance, where it's like, that's a cool narrative you got there, ETH dudes, or, whatever. But like having an L1 play that's like, we only do L1s here, don't mess with that. It's good in the sense that either they get proven correct or they get proven incorrect, but someone's got to prove it in the heat of the battle, like in the trenches. Go do this thing and either fail or succeed, but you're dealing with real people, real money in production, and let the market speak, sort of thing. Because I do feel like if everyone just kind of like bends the knee to L2 the L2 thesis of scaling, then you just it's like you kind of want people to innovate in two different ways. You got one group trying to build the starship that takes off on the jetway, on the airplane, what do you call them, the tarmac, and then you got other guys that are just doing the rocket ships. Why not do both? Keep trying them out. I mean, one might fail, that's fine. You got a couple options to bet on.
Yeah. All right. Before we get into the meme coin degeneracy, I just wanted to provide a quick recap here of what I think is the bullish setup here for Bitcoin. So, just we've talked about this many times, but it's worth recapping. All right. So we've got ETF flows. Okay. ETF. Let me bring up my screen here. ETF flows ramping up. This is the market cap of all Bitcoin ETFs. It's in all-time high territory, right? We've had like $500 million days, several of them in a row here. So ETF flows ramping up. Another big component of the bullish setup is the election uncertainty is coming to an end, and as Corbyn has boldly predicted, it will be Trump as the winner. Okay, so there's that. Next, we have the China stimulus, which we've talked about. China has to stimulate in order to get out of its economic problems.
Not just China though. Not just China. China's the first. They're the first, but they're definitely not going to be the last.
Exactly. And so this brings to the next point, which is that like central banks around the world are basically coordinating to stimulate to cut rates around the world. You have the ECB, the US, obviously, Canada's done it. Japan has committed to not raising rates.
They'll most likely do some kind of quantitative easing, though, I think. Anyway.
Japan. Okay, exactly. So the liquidity is going to be ramping up. All right. It's inevitable. Okay. So the next big point is we have the halving effect kicking in. It's already been almost a year, no? It's 8 months, something.
Yeah.
Since the halving.
Yeah. April 2024. Yeah.
So, okay, we're getting into that territory where it's in the last 3 cycles. It's gone up bigly. And then one more point, which I noticed this week was going around this week, was that Bitcoin exchange, the amount of Bitcoin on centralized exchanges is at a 5-year low. So there's that. And then the other thing I think that we would like to bring up here is about this gamma squeeze potential. So David, take it away.
Yeah,
I'm just going to talk about it
5 because there's a lot of people that don't understand Greek letters and nerd trader talk.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of skirt all that Greek letter stuff and just kind of explain it like how stupidly I know it. But basically the idea is Bitcoin has been ranging for 6-7 months, and people, traders and sophisticated traders even like hedge funds and stuff, have been making bets as Bitcoin approaches the range top, right, which is around 68, 70K, whatever the range top is, that it'll go back down. And they've been doing this for 6-7 months, and these have been accumulating, and they've been making money. And if we get a definitive push through this range that we're kind of touching now, especially like we're talking about a Trump win, what's going to start happening is the people that have made these bets around 70, so they've made bets like it's not going to go above 70. They're going to have to start taking these bets off, right? Because as it gets higher, the they're losing more and more money. And what happens is when you're taking these bets off, basically you have to buy Bitcoin. That's effectively what you have to do to get out of the bet. You have to buy Bitcoin. And by buying Bitcoin, which is going up, the price of Bitcoin is going to rise by the fact that you're buying it. And so if a lot of people have to do this at the same time, they're forced buyers, then the price can climb very, very quickly. And the idea is that the more the price climbs, the more people have to get out of these bets, which means that they have to, they even more have to get out, right?
This is basically what happened with GameStop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so apparently, just going by from what I've heard, it's reasonably common in these kind of long consolidations, not just in crypto, but in traditional markets, when an asset is consolidating in a range, that these short bets, that the price will go down, won't breach the top of the range, they start to accumulate. And so that's one of the reasons why accumulation ranges like this are kind of bullish, because if it breaks above that, then it'll start to tap into those accumulated bets that the price won't rise. And so, yeah, here, if you look at the chart, you can see that we've basically been in a range since March, end of March.
So hold on to your hats, folks.
A Trump
We're
win,
about to rip.
A Trump win would probably see at least
God candle.
Bitcoin.com news lead writer Jamie is predicting a God candle. Jamie Redmond is predicting a God candle. God candle would be like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K candle, daily candle. And if that happened, it would definitely catch a lot of these bets off sides, right? It would just push through where they want to de-risk, and then it would kind of force a lot of people to buy at any price. So there you go.
Thank you, sir. All right, enough boring orange coin talk. Let's get into the memes. So last week we spoke about Goatius Maximus, and I was educated on the origin of that meme. Thank you, sirs.
You're welcome.
And yes, since then there's been a flood of AI meme coins. I've heard talk of FARTCOIN.
Yeah, FARTCOIN I'm really excited about.
All right, tell us about it.
So here's my understanding, my brief understanding of meme coin. So there's derivatives, right? In the same way that you've got
to FARTCOin.
Yeah. It's a natural progression.
It makes sense. As soon as you hear it, you're like, I get it, man. I get it. I want in. I'm going to hold the farts. So here's my understanding. You've got GOAT, right? Goatius Maximus. This is like the first, I guess, crypto AI, like the first real AI crypto, I guess, the closest thing you can get, where an AI is like, yeah, that's my coin. Let's do this thing. And then, of course, you've got these derivatives of that in the same way that you got derivatives of NFTs, where you had like, CryptoPunks, and then you had like CryptoPunks, I don't know, techno crypto, just weird like alternative variations of them. People started doing a deep dive into the backroom of where Goatsy, the truth terminal, which is the AI behind Goatius Maximus, kind of, they've been talking in this backroom. So this for context, there's these AIs that are communicating with one another, and they're just talking back and forth, and they're just absorbing more of this chaos of the internet from their Twitter connection, but also they've just been like talking about early meme culture. And then while these AIs, these agents are communicating to one another, at some point, one of them was talking about doing a crypto, and there was this discussion of doing FARTCOIN. Now, FARTCOIN was never created until after Goatsy ripped, and then someone started launching FARTCOIN as a derivative of this early discussion that was had by these AIs in the back rooms of these like chats. Now you can go into their Discord and interact with Truth Terminal. You can tweet with it, but there are these like public chat logs of the AIs communicating to one another, and where they're discussing this coin called FARTCOIN, and that's where FARTCOIN, I guess, kind of originated. And then FARTCOIN starts ripping. It's ripping. It's going up, 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 and people are getting hyped up. And then there's like these other derivatives. There was a few others that kind of were all sort of tied to the Truth Terminal. Some of them ended up being rugs. Some of them seem to be sane. And out of all of the ones that are seemingly sane, FARTCOIN came out as one of the sane ones, a sane derivative of the idea of these AI-backed kind of projects or tokens. So now FARTCOIN's doing good, and I got in on the farts, and I'm a proponent of FARTCOIN. I think it's a great, it's stupid, it's a great meme. It makes me laugh. Nothing much to it. I have no idea if it does anything, but it made me giggle, and then I bought some, and then it went up, and I felt good about myself. I felt good about the farts. So
I got to say that the FARTCOIN chart is quite healthy looking.
Yeah.
It's got a nice steady upward progression, as opposed to a lot of charts which are straight up and then straight down. So on the issue of the goat coin, I think we need to bring up the controversy, the typo controversy.
Yeah,
So
it did crash after the AI supposedly had a typo where people thought maybe it was actually just a human behind.
I think this is the typo right here. Typo.
Yeah, that's the typo dump.
Typo dip. Yeah. Now I do believe that the typo was not made by the AI, that it was made by its handler, and this whole thing is actually just
it's like a Wizard of Oz
thin
game.
facade.
It could be
a thin
right?
facade. Yeah.
This could be a Wizard of Oz.
Have you ever seen an LLM make a typo? Doesn't happen.
I guess it depends. Like, have you seen? Like, I would say GPT, maybe no. But if you use some of these shittier models, they're pretty dumb. And I think if they are trained on stupid internet meme culture, which Truth Terminal supposedly was, it was trained on early basically 4chan data got dumped into this thing. And I don't think 4chan people are spelling things right all the time. So maybe there's enough training data where it's like, yeah, we absorbed this as part of our lyric, or like our writing style. Our writing style as an AGI is 4chan stupid. I think that's how we've all justified it, and why it continued going up. Is like, sure, that makes sense to me. 4chan's people spell things wrong. Sure, that I guess the AI gets trained on that. Let's go with that. That's a good enough narrative. Keep going. Goatsy.
Yeah. So the coin reached nearly $1 billion market cap yesterday, and
crazy,
has since pulled back a bit. Yeah.
So I believe like a few days ago, Truth Terminal was the first AGI that became a millionaire, and now it's a deca millionaire. So it has, like, the Truth Terminal wallet has over $10 million. So whether that's controlled by one dude on the internet or an actual like somewhat sentient AI thing, is it sentient? I don't know. It's but it's got a bigger bag than us. So it's like, hey, you win, man. You're smarter than me. Who am I to say? Spell things wrong, man. Yeah. It's all good.
All right. In other meme coin adventures, there's the search for the first meme coin on pump.fun. David, I think you've been following this story. Could you fill us in?
Yeah. So this is, I think, kind of a good example of how meme coins or potential meme coins capture value, right? So pretty interesting story. A group of people they're just going through blockchain data, looking for what they call a relic. I put that in quotation marks, relic. And basically it's something that is valuable because it has a unique property. Like, it was the first thing to come out. It was made by a famous person, right? A famous crypto person. And they found this. They found 5 transactions on Pump.fun that happened before Pump.fun went publicly live. So these are blockchain transactions anyone can see, and the first 4 transactions were just like testing Pump.fun functionality: buy, sell, nudity filtering, messaging, I think. And then the last one was a full-fledged coin called KWIF hat. So this is technically the first meme coin ever created on Pump.fun. And hopefully everybody knows what Pump.fun is. It's kind of this very polarizing dApp on Solana that makes meme coin creation trivially easy. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people like it. So it has, it's very popular regardless. And this is the first meme coin ever created on it. Not only that, but the coin was created by one of the co-founders of Pump.fun. So again, it's like people are trying to form a community or recognize the value of this because it has all of these kind of unique properties.
Yeah, what's interesting
thing,
is it seems like some of these relic hunters are looking for more fair coins that have sort of like already had they've already been cooked, and they're trying to like rebuild them because there's not a base of like early holders, and it's somewhat maybe perceived as a more fair launch to just bring something back from the dead than it is to create something new and then risk having to like have insiders involved and stuff like that. I saw this recently with did you guys follow Bell? The guy behind Dogecoin also created this thing called I'm pretty sure it's Bell, but similar thing. Someone found that this blockchain, I think it was called Bellcoin or Bellchain or something like that, BEL, and this was before Doge, and then the blockchain just halted because it kind of like became a expired dead chain. Nobody was actually using it, but there was talk of it on like Bitcoin talk forums and stuff like that. And then someone managed to reactivate the chain, and they basically took the last block height, last valid block on this Bell chain, and they managed to restart the chain, and now it's got its own community that's a budding new thing that's from this ancient story of it's tied to the Doge creator, and then the Doge creator guy was like, hey, I'm happy that this is back online. I hadn't even thought of this in years, and there was some excitement about it. I'm pretty sure it's this one. I don't know. I've never seen the logo, but I tried mining it when it was when they reactivated it. You could use some CPU mining. So if you had like a computer, you could actually go mine some of the stuff for a bit. But then the miners moved in, and it was like way too difficult for normies to earn any Bell. Other stuff that like these relic hunters have come across is moon-cats. This was like last bull cycle during the NFT craze. People were looking for these like early NFT coins. So there was early stuff being, I guess, like CryptoKitties was kind of one of these early ones, and then
ETH
in that
Lambo,
era,
ETH Rocks.
Yeah, ETH Rocks, kind of like right around there. But even before that period, there was early NFTs that people were experimenting with, and there was these ones called moon-cats. And if you go to mooncatrescue.com, this is like the OG site. And yeah, there they are on OpenSea. But they never minted out. It was like the person created the contract, they had the art, and it was like there, but it was like such an old project, and NFTs weren't really in the mind space quite yet, that this contract just existed in the public, but there was still a lot of the supply left. So then you had these like chain sleuths that were like, hey, this is one of the earliest NFTs, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of a cute story of like moon-cats and these little pixel arts, kitties. And then people started interacting with the contract directly through like Etherscan, trying to mint these things. And it was like, kind of a mad dash to recover and rescue these moon-cats. And then you could update the name on them. So I think if you go into the adoption center, and then if you're connected you can actually see the entire supply, and you can see that people have named their cats. They paid an on-chain transaction fee to update the cat name to Pickles or Pox or Princess Josephine Bumblebee. So there's some just like interesting, I don't know, like a community built around these like little pixel art cats. And it's all about just, I guess, finding these on-chain relics that are kind of like interesting stories of their old projects. And I think there's this perceived value of old being, having some sort of like higher alpha than in a new.
Yeah, it's kind of like antique hunters.
Yeah, the Antiques Roadshow.
Antiques Roadshow, exactly.
Man, what a great show.
But crypto version. But interesting stuff.
To me, that what's interesting, like looking at QWIF. I don't know how to say it. Is it QWIF?
I believe it's QWIF.
Is it QWIF? So the interesting thing about this kitten with a hat is what I'm interested in is, so you have all these things that could conceivably give it, a value, right? Unique properties. Now, can a community coalesce around it? And I think that's the real key, right? Can a community coalesce around it and make it like give it enduring value, so it's not just like a flash in the pan, right? And so that's the I think maybe that's the secret sauce. Like, so for example,
it's the $1 million question. Yeah,
Giga is huge now, right? I got on Giga really early, really early, when like right as it first came out, and I'm a loser fly by night fan, so I got in and I got out, and then I haven't had any of the gains from it, right? But
yeah, you're what they call a jeet, I believe.
There you go. I cheated. Cheated hard. And but now I look at it and I'm like, damn, there was an enduring community that really stayed with this during all those trials and tribulations, and here it is, up 89x now. So
yeah. If it makes you feel better, I did the same thing on Giga. Bought it. I lost money, believe it or not, on a coin that went 89x.
I think I lost money too.
So
I think I lost money too.
There you go. So
not Giga. You're not a Giga Chad, Graham. Neither am I.
Okay, good stuff. So I think that that covers our Memecoin segment for the week. I'd like to move topics here a little bit to something which I thought was quite interesting this week. We had some research papers come out here from first one was from 2 European central bank lifers,
academics,
titled academics who have been long working at the European Central Bank. I forget their actual roles, but they released this paper titled "The Distributional Consequences of Bitcoin." Now, I think the central arguments in the paper were, okay, first of all, those who are late to investing in Bitcoin are impoverished by those who were early to investing in it. That's the first point they're trying to make. And secondly, Bitcoin has failed as a payments technology. There seems to be some merit to that one. And then the last point is that Bitcoin is actually a threat to democracy because of the political action committees, the crypto political action committees, PACs, super PACs, and their donation to politicians. So this received a lot of criticism, obviously, from the crypto sphere. And what I found most interesting about this is just like these guys are writing this paper about why Bitcoin is bad. Why do they care so much? Why do these people who, it's not the European Central Bank's official paper, but it is people who work there. Why do they care so much about
do you want the
this
conspiracy
one asset?
Is it the conspiracy question, or is this just like, why are humans stupid?
Well,
It's
that
the
I can
conspiracy question.
wait.
Okay.
I can give you the superficial. I can give you the superficial answer, which it's not a new argument. I've been hearing this from family members who are very liberal for at least 5 years, and it's a simple thing. It's that first point, which is Bitcoin and crypto are bad because they're bad for what's it called, equity and inclusion, right? Uh, it makes a couple people rich, and it at the cost of a
Yeah.
lot of other people, and so it makes this imbalance in society. And Bitcoin is like a hyper version of this, and so it's really, really bad.
Have you guys ever followed the Reddit Buttcoin?
I've seen glimpses. Yeah.
I've heard of it. I can't recall.
So one of the most popular like Bitcoin Reddits is our Bitcoin, and there's a lot of butthurt anti-Bitcoiners on another subreddit called Buttcoin, BUTT, and it basically is these people that are like, they're anti-Bitcoin, and I think they're like resentful that people are making money on it. They're resentful over it being an affront to, I don't know, fiat. They think it's all vaporous scams and degeneracy and greed. And maybe there is some of that for sure. But it's like they aren't able to filter out the good from the bad. So they just say everything is terrible and you're all morons for believing in this thing and buying this thing. And it's all a big, it's the boomer argument of this is all a big Ponzi and you guys just don't realize yet. And it's a strange community of really like just obnoxious people, but it's a fun one to kind of check in on, just to kind of check your check the opposing argument against this.
They're probably having a field day right now with us talking about FARTCOIN and
oh yeah, for sure.
They sound like idiots.
Like we're insane. Yeah,
but it's such a bad argument unless they take that argument to its conclusion. And I know a lot of them do take it to the conclusion, but then when they take it to their conclusion, you lose most people, at least in first world countries. But if you're saying that Bitcoin is bad, then you have to also say basically stocks are bad, real estate is bad. Any of that kind of stuff
they would actually say that because these people are essentially communists. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, Graham, is that then if they say that, then they lose most people. Like seriously, most people are like, when you get to that point, they're like, well, then go away. Right? Basically, you're saying you don't think capitalism is good and a better system is just like, I don't know, some benevolent dictator hand parceling out value equally to everybody somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So, just the adding on here. Go ahead.
But the true answer though is they care about this because it threatens their legitimacy and their power base, right? The ECB cares about this because all they want to do is retain power. They want to retain power, and the currency and their central bank is maybe their biggest lever. Well, for the ECB, it's definite. For the EU, it's definitely their biggest lever. Is the shared currency in the central bank.
Yeah, which brings us to this other paper that was working paper that was released a week ago. This one's from the Minneapolis Fed, where basically they argue that prohibiting Bitcoin or imposing specific taxes on it could help governments implement permanent primary deficits effectively. This is the argument. So basically they're saying we figured out a way to have a permanent deficit just forever. We can just we never actually have to have a balanced budget. We can just keep spending forever.
We never have to pay off our debts.
We never have to pay off our debt. We can just keep diluting people forever. But the only problem is there's this like asset that like kind of puts a wrench in the works there. What we need to do is just ban that.
Yeah,
that's what
would happen
here.
Is anything that retains value would basically, as you dilute everybody, that value is not just going to disappear. It's going to go to things, scarce assets, gold, oil, Bitcoin.
Yeah. So they said the quiet part out loud here, I think, with this one. the true colors have come out.
There's a great account on Twitter, pseudonymous account. What's his name? Haverstein. What's his name?
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
I know who you're talking about.
He has this like crusade against central banks, central bankers, and kind of posts nonstop about how stupid they are, how these people who head up central banks are stupid. They've never had a job in the private sector. They've never handled anyone's money in a manner in which they would be held responsible for losses. And these are the people, these morons are the people who are responsible for directing basically world economic policy, right, through their central bank actions. And when if you read this account, and I do, and he goes into a lot of details. I mean, these people, it boils my blood how insane it is that you have people like this in such positions of power.
Well, there's a lot of ineptitude within the financial world, and I'd say especially in this banker / government field. Like if you're the top tier type of person who's like, I can, I'm high IQ, high energy, high agency, I can get shit done. Your gut reaction isn't, I'm going to go work for the government. Like most people go for private enterprise because there's potential wealth and riches there. The only people seeking those positions are power hungry or kind of like mid. They're mid people that, get a taste of power and they get invited to the Davos or the World Economic Forum and they're like, look at me, Mom. I'm the most powerful kid from our little area. And I've got so much influence in this world now. And thank God I went to Brown. Man, I did it. We're changing the world here and I'm making the world a better place. And they do it from their weird world of this is right. They feel like this is right. They're the butt coins, the butt coin Redditors. And they're the ones having a big say on the whole global economy. And, you're largely being influenced by a lot of mid-tier people you probably wouldn't run to hire in any private startup.
They would get fired. All of these people would get fired from like a tier 2 or tier 1, like financial private enterprise within like a year, probably less.
Yep.
The risk manager would tap him on the shoulder and say, get the fuck out of here very quickly.
Yeah.
All right. Michael Saylor is the man of Fed. What's going on here?
So the whole arc is pretty crazy, though. Like, have you guys seen his capitulation this morning? I mean, I saw it this morning.
I did.
Crazy arc.
Oh no, I didn't get the upside. Let's start with the beginning. Start from the beginning. Okay, Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is a Bitcoin bull. Right, we love him. He's the Bitcoin bull, right?
God, I love
that. 250,000 Bitcoin.
It might even be worth playing that short clip where he kind of like really puts his foot in his mouth.
The one where he says there is no second best, or
no,
or you mean the one where he's talking about? Because I love that one too.
Yeah. In the interview with that lady, the reporter. I don't know if I have it. Anyway, I can just talk about it.
Can we just summarize the story here first? So, people.
So in a recent interview, it came up. Our journalist Madison Righty really did a great job. Like, damn, what an awesome job. So she asked Saylor these questions about the dangers of custodians holding too much Bitcoin, right? Oh yeah, this is the clip. But and Saylor kind of balked at this. And my take on it is he balked because he is one of the bigger custodians of Bitcoin right now, right? His MicroStrategy essentially is a fund that holds Bitcoin, right? So he's a custodian of a lot of Bitcoin. And so he kind of like said this off the cuff answer that was really stupid, basically saying, no, having a couple financial institutions hold most of the Bitcoin is not bad. It's actually really good. It makes the Bitcoin safer, and it makes the government less likely to seize it. And the reporter followed up, was like, really? That's an interesting thing. What about like what happened with what happened in what is it, 1933 with gold, when the government decided to seize gold? And he was like, oh no, that's just paranoia of crypto
He kind of played
anarchists.
it off like it was fake news. Like, no, that didn't really happen the way people think it happened.
Yeah. And also he said he was like, and they weren't coming down and busting down the door of Joe Schmo, and he's right on that part.
Exactly.
What happened?
Exactly.
What happened was
they went after the big
government,
custodians.
Yeah, they went after they went to the big banks, and they're like, give us your gold. And the banks are like, oh, this is not our gold. It's Joe Schmo's gold. And they're like, give us Joe Schmo's gold. And they're like, okay, here you go. And they didn't go after. There was almost no instances of them going to individuals with safes anywhere in the country for their gold. They just went to the banks.
Go for that honeypot. I mean, it's the whole, it's the operational efficiency. You gonna go after 100,000 people who hold a small amount of gold, or you go after the big bank with the big fat vault that's got tons of it, and you're like, I guess we'll just go there first. Yeah. See if that's enough to keep the war efforts going.
The bank owner you play golf with like once a month, right?
Yeah.
He's your friend.
I just have to say that this conversation we've been having, it just all leads so perfectly, right? So we started off talking about how the central banks have got this plan basically to like ban Bitcoin and confiscate it. And then we've got like this huge custodian of Bitcoin saying, oh, no, don't worry about it. Like it's not going to happen. But we all know, us who self-custody our Bitcoin and crypto, that's why we do it. Because there's a good chance they're coming after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. Does Saylor and his team, do they custody their own Bitcoin, or are they holding Bitcoin with like Coinbase Institutional or one of these other players that are offering that custody?
That's a good question.
Not sure, but either way, it doesn't. I don't think it really matters because it's known that they have 200,000 Bitcoin. So, like, you can pressure them either way, right? Like,
yeah.
As a big holder like that, they're beholden.
Go after the board, or you go after the Coinbase custody.
Yeah, seize his company. I mean, do whatever. I mean, you're the government. If you really want their assets for whatever reason. And you have like quote unquote exigent circumstances, boom, you're done. Anyway, so he said this.
Yeah,
so he said this, and crypto Twitter like went wild, including, which I think is hilarious, Vitalik Buterin commenting on this, calling, and I quote, Saylor batshit insane. Oh, go Vitalik. So I wrote an op-ed about this, and I actually wasn't really surprised about anything Saylor said, and I don't think he was insane. I think everything he said has been consistent with kind of all of his actions. He's a very self-centered person, and he wants, he's a business guy. He wants everything he said has been a shill for what he's doing, right? Everything, and it's very consistent. And so, of course, it makes sense that he's going to defend custodial solutions because he's a big custodian.
I used to think Saylor was a big goof, and then I've kind of warmed up to the idea of you kind of need a Saylor bull. It's kind of fun. But then you hear some stupid stuff like this where you're like, oh, you're not actually one of us. You're something else. You're not a crypto guy. You're not a Bitcoin guy. You like Bitcoin. You think it's a good asset. You want to control it, but you're approaching it from a different like foundational ethos. I think for a lot of Bitcoin people, they're like, hey, I'm putting my foot down and saying I don't want in on this scam on fiat and the Fed, and there's a lot of hard beliefs here, and this guy's like, his beliefs are completely motivated by, it seems like, profit. Versus like some of these like I don't know, feel good kind of, I don't know, revolutionary vibes that Bitcoin had, like the early Andreas Antonopoulos of like, what is Bitcoin, and explaining that it's like the first fuck you to the banks and the only alternative type of money that's ever existed, and it's the first go at it. He's like, he didn't watch the early Andreas Antonopoulos videos. You know, he wasn't involved in this. He came in late, hated Bitcoin at first, thought it was all scams, and then eventually became kind of Bitcoin pilled, and then started making some money on it and became extremely Bitcoin pilled. But he's a different beast. He's a totally different monster. And yeah, I think like I saw some interview. I think maybe it was. I think it was a different interview than this one with this woman. But you know, he said he doesn't have kids. You know, for him, he's just a Bitcoin guy. And I don't know, for someone to be working that hard and being that incredibly focused on an asset with no heirs, it's weird. It's weird, isn't it?
I think he is batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But not because of this position, not because of his position on Bitcoin, just in general. I mean, the man posts like AI generated images of himself as a fireman.
Those are pretty funny though. Those are pretty funny.
Putting out like the world fiat currency fire,
but wasn't
right?
it gas?
Bitcoin hose.
He had a gas. It wasn't even like a firefighter. I think it was just a gas cylinder. He was gassing the world. So like,
but I mean, like
undertones here, guys. There's undertones.
Yeah. If you look at the op-ed that I wrote, like again, I cited two other moments which I think just encapsulate part of this guy. Like the one earlier this year where he was like, none of these tokens will ever become spot ETFs. They'll never be accepted by mainstream institutional adoption. There's only one true universal grade asset, and that is Bitcoin. And then 22 days later, Ethereum got approval for ETFs.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Enthusiasm.mp3.
Yeah. And then, of course, the most famous one, right, where he's like unhinged. He's like, there is no second best. There is no second best. There's a crypto asset.
That's when he was underwater on his
underwater. He was like, he was like 10%. He was like 10 to 15% away from losing his company and everything that he had built for the past 20 years. And he's like, you gotta take a loan out on your home and sell your kids and buy more Bitcoin. And then you gotta go kill a homeless person, harvest their kidneys to buy more Bitcoin.
I know I shouldn't like this guy, but I love his energy. I just
it's pretty awesome.
Help it. It's pretty fun.
It's pretty awesome what he's been able to do with the financialization of his company to hoard Bitcoin, and it's spreading to other countries. You see it happening in Japan, and I'm sure it's going to spread elsewhere. And I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, even if it's in the custodial model,
I would say that there
means
is
more money coming into Bitcoin. Yeah,
there's like a redemption arc for Michael Saylor. But I don't know if he can find his way through it. And if he's clearly shown that he's able to change his mind, right? He hated Bitcoin at first and became an extreme advocate for it. Maybe he will find some of the libertarian tones, the revolutionary tones of Bitcoin, and adopt those later. But maybe he's got to come to terms with what those are.
Yeah.
And it's maybe a little bit hard for him being a public figure of a huge company that's now outperforming the S&P and it's doing well. It's probably not in his interest to play that card, even if he thinks that, even if he feels that now. I don't know if it plays. I don't know if it supports his bag by banging that drum, even if he has adopted some of those new, proclivities.
Well, he did. He did capitulate this morning, right? Like he tweeted yesterday, "I'm for self-custody," and then he released like a blog article or something today, talking about like how self-custody is awesome and great. So he's kind of walked it back.
Has he walked it back, or did his PR team walk it back?
Well, I mean, I think it's been released through his account. I actually haven't read it yet. I should probably read it before I comment on it more. I just saw that he posted an article.
It's worth just remembering that the people in these positions at that level often do have paid help with regards to everything from media to PR, things like that. Like, so, yeah, I think you saw a lot of that following the FTX drama when you see how much of the Sam Bankman-Fried was a story that was created more so than it was a person that evolved.
Yeah.
There was
so I'm looking at his Twitter. He released a video, and I think it's him talking for 10 minutes about why self-custody matters for Bitcoin. So
okay, well, he's getting
All
it
right,
back.
well,
I mean, so
respect.
clearly he can change his mind, so that's fine. I mean, hey, good on you, Saylor. Give me some more memes.
Oh man.
All right, gentlemen, is that the pod?
Podcast.
That's the pod. All right, let me just share one thing before we wrap it up here. This needs to be shown.
Oh, I saw this morning.
Ultimately, unsurprising to you, I'm sure.
So, Caroline, I'll let you go to your next question.
Wait, Graham, do you want to set this up?
Talking of disclosures, one disclosure from former President Trump is that he would fire you. Ultimately, unsurprising to you, I'm sure.
So, Caroline, I'll let you go to your next question.
A lot to get on with, and your term is what, until June 2026? But will it run until then? Many feel that perhaps not. Talking of disclosures, one
All right, there's Gary Gensler getting told not to let the door hit him on the way out.
BBC, right? Is that BBC? Oh, Bloomberg News.
Yeah.
Okay.
Corbin,
Awesome.
you're muted.
I was just saying, it's very fun to watch him squirm a little bit on this question.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of, what is it, the Schadenfreude,
Yeah. All right, let's end it on that note. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you for everyone who listened. See you next week for Token Narratives. Adios.